Hey, and welcome to LEAP, the League of Emergent Architectural Practitioners. I'm your host, Stephen Corliss. We've been looking at an architectural design in the past couple episodes here for these live mentorship sessions, and it's for a new construction home in Bellwood, a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath with a design that has some customizations options to it. And so if you've been following along, you're familiar with where we're at on this. This is episode 4 of the series. So if you haven't been following along, feel free to go back in the podcast or playlist and find those episodes to catch up. But without further ado, I will switch over to our model so I can show where we're at and explain what we will be doing in this session. So we've got the first floor and second floor modeled. Was pretty happy with the layout, and now we will need to go around and configure some details for the exterior. In terms of window placement, I do want to put some more furniture down on the first floor, because what we will be doing, and probably in this episode, is getting to some presentation content. So elevations, starting to set up perspective views and things of that nature. So I was just cropping this. Let me unhide our box and reveal everything here. So the first floor, I'll have to turn on our furniture scheme 1. So the idea, the concept behind this home being flexible is that this home may be used across several sites, and so we wanted, if there is a homeowner on board before or during construction, them to be able to choose some of these ancillary spaces and how they'd be used. So for instance, when you walk in, large foyer area and then a hallway that brings you into one of these two spaces or into this space. We talked about traditionally in homes, you would walk in and have a parlor area to host outsiders, guests in a more public setting before they're allowed to enter some of the more private areas of your home. And so that was sort of the genesis for this idea, in combination with the idea that people seem to be wanting more private or broken out spaces in their homes, and so this floor plan reflects that ideology. Before we move further, let me just make sure everything's running smoothly here. So it looks like we're okay. These are live sessions, so feel free to drop a line in the chat if you're tuning in or if you have questions, and let's just get into it here. So let's switch modes here. And really, a couple of things I had been thinking about was the entry sequence and just how this feels like a lot of framed openings when you look down this sort of view corridor here. I know in this first scheme I want to populate this as a like an at-home office. So I'm gonna place a couple of components down for that. I've got an adjustable desk component. I will probably just mirror over these cabinetry units. Copy. It's not symmetrical there, so we'll just flip it back. Same rug size can work in there. And let's plop a computer. Make this desk a little larger. And so for this scheme, we'll make this the office. We're going to make that the dining, and then this sort of the casual living space. And then we'll see how the views feel when you're moving in, and I'll decide if we want to pull some of these walls back or not. So this is an adjustable desk. We'll make it 30 inches by 60 inches. Seems like a decent sized desk. For the space, we'll center it there. It should also be centered on that window, yes. And if you've been watching my workflow, or typically how I work, there is a lot of back and forward between floor plan and 3D views. Just inherently, that's how I have become familiar with working, and it seems like you need to work like that in a lot of applications now. Yeah, I'll put a few chairs down. I think what's really interesting about a lot of these furniture pieces is especially with AI for doing renderings and programs, you really just need placeholders for some of these things, and you can prompt in a variety of different finishes. So like I said, for this first one, we'll make it an office, but in another scheme, I would like to make it like a formal sitting area. I know I have this chair in an armless version, I'm just not sure. Oh, maybe it was actually something else. Okay. That guy. Okay. Place some plants down. That corner seems nice for ficus. The rug, I don't want to really get into custom sizes here, but we'll just leave it as is. So this is either revealing to me that, you know, these armchairs aren't really going to fit here, so we could put something like a chair here, which would work. I mean, it would still work nice as just a home office if you're not having clients come in, or if you are, you can even turn it, rotate it, and have it facing out or facing towards the entry. But for now, I just wanted to test to see if that was going to work, and it just looks like it's going to work a little better with something like that. All of these plans, I'm just going to half-tone all of the furniture. Since I want the emphasis to be on the architecture. And this I had done to try and create a more deliberate like walking path. I think actually, I mean, if you do live with children, you know how messy it can get with food falling on the floor or things like that. Not having the rug define the walking path, I think, is just going to make the room feel a little more spacious. And so I'm just going to center it like that. Let's jump into a view already just to start to see how this is feeling. Should have some perspective views we were using. And I'll probably have to turn the furniture scheme 1 on, show. And I'll have to remember to add those furniture pieces to this work set, but this is what it was looking like. Select all instances in the entire project and move these up to finished floor level. Okay. And same thing for these guys. Select all instances, entire project, finished floor slab. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was feeling nice. We did the windows here across from one another, so we had sort of an architectural alignment happening there. But I want to move back to the entry. And this is what I mean. It just feels like we can make the entry feel still enclosed because it's captured by this wall. But I'm wondering if we can eliminate this, or how we can, by still keeping this entry area feel sort of private. So first thing to do would just be completely remove that wall. I think it felt like you were just walking into too big of a space, but it definitely helps you feel like that window is in the foyer space, which if you were watching previous episodes, you may have seen we had a separate window in the foyer space, and now, I mean, this is feeling way more inviting. But I think this edge needs to be captured here so that you're not immediately looking across the house like that, with the leading edge of that bench just floating out there like that. This closet I was preserving as a utility closet. Save, sip of coffee. For electrical, since we are doing a slab on grade, so I want to return that wall and then just cut this back, see if there's some sort of alignment that might make sense. This is a load-bearing wall that's cutting up through the center of the home. Maybe just bringing it to this wall, because we did say that we wanted these to be an optional wall for some homeowners if they wanted to have these removed. They could, with those storage units also. But I'm going to keep them on for this scheme. And I don't know, I'm just not sure if this is feeling like maybe this wall should continue across and there should be a cased opening just on the other side of it there. Let's try that, because this is feeling like just sort of a floating wall right now. I guess we'll just have to make this entry area feel large and spacious. Copy that, and let's take this all the way across, and let's add cased opening. .48 inches by 84. We were going up 96. We have taller ceiling heights here, 9 foot, so an 8-foot opening. Make it trimless. No, this does not feel good. It's sort of deteriorating the whole concept of that private entry area. And although I do like slightly larger opening in that wall, it just makes me think that we may be able to reduce the depth of this. But you know what? That seems to work still. I don't know, maybe it's not. I'm looking at it again, the cased openings that are not bothering me as much with the furniture in there and sort of the decor and the plants. It's feeling a little more deliberate, which it's serving the purpose of creating distinct space. So we'll scooch that over because I know I'm going to get into renderings soon. I want to have some of these pieces ready to go. So just sort of tackling them as I'm thinking of them. That works out better because the door swing was swinging into that anyway. Yeah. Something like that. So in the animation, I know when we come through this door, that now's a good opportunity to just zoom out and take a look at everything here. I mean, I really like the scale of the home and everything. It feels really good proportionally. The window placement, we haven't finalized yet, but we had talked about this being south facing, and so we have the sloped roof pitching for that in case they want to use solar panels in any capacity. You're walking into a nice wide walk path and a full height entry in the exterior. We'll put some lights in the soffit there. We just put like a piece of furniture out here, but walking in and being greeted in this formal area is nice. Protects the rest of the home in terms of privacy. You've got your closet, and then walking through, we'll sort of maneuver the camera like this. I think we will stop before we get deep into the home. Something like here, just to reveal that there's things happening beyond the view, but not so much that it distracts us from this office area here. Something like that. We'll show some furniture swapping out, and I think we even had a scheme where you're going to be able to see the stair visible on that side, so that should be nice. This, we're not going to be able to get up to that height. We have the stair run conflicting on the inside of that closet anyway at some level, so I'm okay with leaving that as either a 7-foot or 6'8" door. I think we're going to propose that none of the doors are lower than 7 feet, just to keep most of the alignments same. Hide these lines for now. So turning the corner and moving into the home, you're immediately greeted with large informal sitting area, or could be formal, but in this scheme I'm going to make like the couch here, can lighting, and then these walls will additionally be optional. So if you remove those and remove the cabinetry, it completely opens up this space. I want to present it as a space that can be divided. So I guess what we will also get into in this session is laying out the cabinetry. And I already know, I want it to be a very simple linear lineup, and we'll have cabinets above this area here. We'll have the hood with the cooktop over in that corner. This is something I wasn't showing yet, but as a reminder to myself, I want to copy this over 3 times. Don't remember if I was lining this with this. Probably no. It was close, but okay. So we could do something like that. I would want this to be accessible, so I should actually replace that with like a sliding door glass door system, and this is only here because we had a window up above that was aligning with that. If we did have it that wide so that this window aligns with that, and then this one aligns with the one at the front of the house, we would be able to find an alignment for this window in this bedroom area, either with the middle or the outside edge of this. So for right now, I'm just going to move it over here because it feels like it's floating. And this is at least, this is 36, so that is the width of a door. Make this 36 by casement. Trim, I'm doing everything trimless. Casement 3660. Okay. So one of these can be a door, or again, if this is a full glass door system, you can have a slider. We can see how that works out. So let's finish some of the furniture here. We'll leave the, well, you know what? Let's make these grayed out too. Select all, an entire project, override. Right, element, halftone. While I have them selected, I'm going to put them on the furniture scheme 1 scheme. Same thing with the fillers. Select all, an entire project. It's only going to select those types. Gray them out, override the graphic by element, halftone, okay. And these on our furniture 1 scheme. While I'm at it, I'm going to put all this on my furniture 1 scheme. So that way, when I'm presenting this, I mean, it's really showing like the true dimension of the rooms, which gets you another 1.5 feet without these storage units here. So it does make a difference. So let's put down a couch here, and then we'll have our first scheme complete, and then we'll move into the kitchen and refine that design and see if there's any window placements on the first floor that have to be adjusted. I don't think there are. We'll want to situate that back window. I'm not certain how much daylight outside of the rear entry door we would need. It would be nice to get some daylight into that mudroom, but we'll see. Okay. Let's finish that up. Okay, so couch. Like we've said, I mean, this whole space is usable space, but I know that realistically the circulation path is most likely going to be bending around here, moving through here. So this room that is a dining table now that probably would not be used very often. I mean, in most families, people are eating at the kitchen island for breakfast, sometimes dinner, and if the family does get together for meals, it's once a day for dinner at, you know, the dining table. And so from everybody I've spoken to about a floor plan like this, it has seemed perfectly acceptable to be moving through a space like that to navigate the home. And so I just want to make sure that the furniture is not protruding into that area. I'll save and zip. And let's find a sofa. Couch. Okay, so this is a big one. Let's see if this fits. It does. I mean, that's a huge sofa. But I like it. So let's see if it works for us. What is this? This is up 2 feet, that window. So I'm not too concerned that we're going to see it from the exterior, but it's definitely something I just want to check. Yeah, that's okay. How do we feel about that? It feels too big. I don't like that it's in front of the window, so let's just choose some standard couch and chairs to lay out this space. But it's nice to know that that actually works. It's a huge sectional. We'll just keep it a little more standard. Even a large, like 9-foot sofa. Does that fit along this wall? It does. We'll make it an 8-foot just to give us some breathing room. Just still a decent size sofa. And we'll pull in a rug in this area. And let's see how this works out in terms of leaving that corridor open there. This can be 11. This should be 9 by 11. Yeah. Get a coffee table, a couple chairs, and we'll move on. My coffee table went. Okay, there we go. So that's a 36 inch. We could probably go up to 42. Make sure my materials are selected on it. Yeah, that's good enough for now. Okay, and then we'll get some chairs. Put a little decor piece there. Not sure if it'll be another plant or something, maybe on both sides. Stack of books, something like that. But again, the idea is just to help the end user see the options and the possibilities for the space. I can't remember if I made this chair color adaptable. I did. Okay, we'll leave it blue for now. See if it feels okay to have a second chair here. I mean, it feels okay. It's not my favorite, but it's just, again, tended to show a couple options here. We'll put another side table down. I mean, ideally, it would be nice to have that centered on that window, but we're just moving through the space quickly. Looks close enough, probably, for our renderings. That looks pretty decent. I'm not sold on these windows being floor to ceiling, and then even these 2-foot sill heights. There'll probably be some privacy curtains up here, but here we talked about an option for like built-ins, but I think we would have to increase the depth of this, which is going to eat into the space a little bit. We're at 12 inches now. We would have to bring that out at least 2 feet so that our bookcases can be 1.5 foot, 1'9" and 1.5 feet, or 15 inches and another 3 out, so maybe 18 inches for that wall. But either way, it's closing in that space, but people might at least want to run some countertops across there, so we have options. But I think in terms of showing it as a fully built out space, I'm going to raise these up to 3 feet. So if I'm taking 3 off of 8, I can do 60, 36 by 60 fixed. We can make them casement if we want. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's a little more realistic for the space. Once we put can lighting in there, and we could decide to put like some low mount bookshelves across there that are built in, then we can decide if we want to pull that out or not. I'm just going to finish putting a couple entourage pieces on here for my renderings, and then we'll wrap this up and move on to the kitchen area. put down some books on here. Just want to size the top one a little smaller. So these are all like entourage components. I've got them labeled as decor, so I can type in decor and all my decor will pop up in my properties menu. It's helpful to just populate it in model so it's there in all the renderings. So make this book heights, what, 10 inches by 7. Just a little smaller. We'll rotate these a little bit, give it a more realistic look. Not much, just enough. Rotate the grouping. Sure. Okay. So, I mean, that's feeling nice. I think the room size for this modest home is nice. We'll put like a picture frame on the back wall there. Canvas. Or not. I don't want to dress up the model too much. I think I do want to add the bookshelves in this scheme just because it gives a little more purpose and definition to like this purpose of these cased openings and the rooms having these cased openings. So again, I mean, I like moving through this space, and once the kitchen is all dressed up, I think that's really going to help us see everything a lot clearer. Like this view, really, I like the view from the kitchen looking across the house. Especially because it reveals like the stair in there, and again, I'll have a scheme. I think once we get to the kitchen area, we can show in a couple color variations, like white, oak. That should be enough. And then when we turn back before we go upstairs, I think is when we can reveal like these different design options for the dining area. So I'm just sort of talking out loud, planning this in my head. But I especially like this sort of private corridor here. It gets you into your third space here. You do have a view off to the front entry. It gives you your access to the powder room here. I like these windows being floor to ceiling. We might pull them up 12 inches, but it feels good. Some construction noise going on in the background, so I apologize if you can hear that. Yeah, there's still something about this that is not sitting quite right with me, but we'll try and resolve that. Let's put all this, we'll half tone it and put it on its separate layer or work set. Okay. Override by element, halftone, okay. And put on our furniture 1 scheme, okay. I'm not sure if this will be optional or not. The TV probably will. And while I'm remembering this, save, take a sip of coffee. I wanted to put a lintel in. have it in the model, so I will try and find that. Got a couple people in the chat. Hey. Doing well. How about you? Let me know if you have any questions. That's what these are really for. Okay, so I was gonna, let me find this component real quick. I know I have families, searching off screen here. What did I say? No, it's mantle. Fireplace mantle. Oh, but that's like a big one. I think I was just using actually like a shelf and changing the shelf type because I made my shelf type adaptable here. So let me get the shelf, floating wall shelf, floating shelf, adjustable. Put it on to the wall here. I can change the thickness to 5.5 inches. The depth would be pretty minimal. 3.5 inches. And the width will be, just do it a few inches shy of each side. We're at 5'3", so 4'9". See how that looks. How high are we up here? 4. Okay. No, you'll need at least like 9 inches above the fireplace, but we'll figure all that out later. But let's get this up at 3.3 for now. And we'll change the material to like a wood, timber, and I'll center it, and we'll be good for now. Every time I open my materials, usually it takes 30 seconds or so. I think it's because I've just got so many materials in here. I gotta go through and purge it. So when I'm doing these projects, I usually use just one like kind of accent wood tone throughout. That just helps keep things like all the rendering materials under control. So we'll find the center line of that wall. We'll find the center line of this, which looked like it was off. Let's see if that works for us. Okay, so maybe this doesn't have to be more than, I mean, this is really just an accent piece. I do want to move all this up another 3 inches at least. Okay. Let's get in these little bookshelves here, because like I said, I think it's going to help us define the purpose for that wall. I just want to see if there's, I know I have a component I can throw in there pretty quickly. I don't remember if I called it shelf though. No, it's not one of those. It is under cabinet. base. I thought it was an oven base, but I know I made it adaptable. Here it is, oven base. I should probably rename this. So it's a component that goes under the base of, or as the base of, like an oven for the kitchen. Usually it sits up on a little platform, but I made it adaptable so that you can remove the shelf component. So if I add the shelf and I make the depth 1'3". That is coming forward that amount. Let's go into some family editing. Yeah, it should not be doing that, so something's off with it. Let's see, if I change the cabinet depth 4 feet for fun, it's sticky, it's connected, that's good. If I make it less, yeah, it's still working like that. I don't know. Sometimes the models have to just be reloaded in, and then what happened here? Countertop height 2'10". Okay. Well, that should work for us, but I raised it to 3 and then it disconnected. Okay, so that's a problem. So we will snap this to the underside, and if you're not familiar with components, I could do like a whole separate episode training on components in Revit. But you snap it with the align tool, click that lock button, and now it should be locked. For some reason it wasn't in this model, but I can raise this up to 4 feet, and it should be sticky now. But we'll reset this to the 2'10", 5 inches, and the reason for that is that it usually tucks in, or the top of it will be level with the top or the underside of your countertop, and then your countertop is another 1.25 inches that gets you to your 3 feet, or just about. So this is better. We'll save it. It should override it. Yes. Load it into the project. And we should see that snap up, which we did. So now we're all good, and that's the actual depth that I wanted. I wanted the 1'3" on this. The countertop will return to the 2'10.5". So I know when I add my countertop, it's going to come to the underside of that windowsill there. And then let's see if we can just use these align tools to... No, we've got to edit that also. Let's see. Width 3 feet. So when I move that, everything should move with it. If I make it 5 feet, apply. Okay. Let's just make sure that that's what happened there. Yes, so save again. We'll save it, we'll load it in, and this, again, I should change the name on this. But I don't feel like it right now. Override the graph, yes. So I still don't think you can use the align tool. It's still gonna snap it to either side, but now at least we can go into our floor plan, take the dimension of that space, which should be 4 feet, 3.5. It's gonna be 3 and change in a really strange way. That's concerning. 4 to there. Could be because I was snapping to the floor lines, which is always a problem. Okay. Let's get this right. Okay. It's 4. Oh, so I've got the tabs here. 4 feet. I'm going to copy that down. I think I made this equal. I should have. Yes. And then, like I mentioned, I want to pull this out at least 3 inches proud of the face of that. So that was already out 3, so I got to go another 3, so 6. We'll see how it plays on the room. 9-foot depth rug still works. Just gonna tuck that in. Let's check our 3D view. Make sure I'm placing these on the right level. And then some countertops. Counter. Make that 4 feet wide, and the depth is going to be 3.5 inches. Change the countertop material to like a marble look. So I would say that like a lot of this is only because I know I'm trying to get this up to a level for like presentation quality. Sometimes, or most times, people don't take these this far in terms of furniture planning. And that's unfortunate because I do think it's the responsibility of the architect to showcase how these spaces are supposed to work. And so, for instance, that's just not working, so I'm going to take that out. Especially now since we added that, and we're going to want access to that, and moving this up a little bit helps me center this a little better on this window. This might make a little more sense as kind of a shared little table in between the two spaces. So that feels nice, it's appropriate, it's not trying to be anything it's not. And I think, this still works as like a bleed over space, but it's clearly a designated hallway that services the entry foyer and getting you between these spaces. And then this is doing the same space, but it doesn't mean that the space doesn't feel part of this room. And so, I mean, whether or not you wanted to stretch that carpet across could be a personal opinion. If you needed the extra space, but obviously blocking that would feel like you're putting like a furniture piece in the hallway. So use your discretion, but my TV, I lost my TV. Just forward. Got the countertops on there. Yes. And lighting is going to help bring the space to life. Could probably put a canvas on this back wall here, but I'll do some of that offline. I got to fill the bookshelves up with some artifacts, decor pieces. But again, I think that helps make this wall feel more deliberate. And then once you turn this corner, there's no like real other option than to kind of move through this space. And we can put pendant light there, chandelier. So now we are in the kitchen. So let's talk kitchen. Let's talk kitchen. So for one of my previous videos, I had mentioned that we like to do 30-inch countertop depths, and I am going to be proposing that on this also. You can always go back to the 24-inch countertop depth in whatever scheme you want, but I think it's always important to plan for the 30-inch countertop depth. And if you're not familiar with that little trick, all it is taking standard 24-inch cabinets and pulling them off of the wall 6 inches, and it can really be more like 5 inches. People really get into questioning losing that space behind the cabinets, which is valid. You can either have custom cabinets made, which is going to increase the cost, or you just dedicate that space to running some of the utilities kind of behind, which does make it easier in some applications for the dishwasher to be hooked up to the sink. If you have downdraft hoods, they can be located in that chase space. In many of the applications I've done that detail, the homeowners have never said they missed those 6 inches, or another way to say it is they prioritized or they appreciated having the deeper countertop space over that 6 extra inches in their kitchen space. Totally a personal preference. Again, many of the clients I have had in the custom residential homes we do prefer to have the deeper countertop space. That's what the kitchen is used for and is about. And so if you have that space, you can allocate it to it. So let's take a look at what that looks like in our plan here. And before I forget, just double checking that all of this is on my new layer here. I think I'll leave the mantle off, but I will take the TV and those side cabinets, put on the furniture scheme 1, override, graphic by element, halftone, and I didn't actually grab these, so look. Grab these. Halftone them even though you can't see them, and put them on our scheme 1, so that works. Alright, let's get into it. Let's just dive right in. I know I'm gonna have a cooktop. We're gonna do an all electric kitchen, so I should be able to place this on the face of the countertop. Rotate it so the knobs are accessible. I'm going to go into my reflected ceiling plan because that is how I have to place my hood. We want just kind of a very seamless built-in hood look. So I've got a component that I place on the ceiling and it drops down from the ceiling. Rotate that, it's going to be somewhere around there, but we'll place it against the back wall. And then I know I also have, see how I want to do this. I mean, usually I just frame it out. And so maybe we'll just frame it out with some drywall. One by 1.5 inch with jip. And we'll do level 1, finish floor, up to ceiling, level 1, offset of 5 feet. And we should see it in our view here. I just don't know how that is coming in. Let's see. Okay, it came in right. That's good. And then if I look up in there, it's usually up there. We had 9-foot ceilings, so we're dropping down. What's the difference? Height from ceiling. If I'm up at 5 feet, 4 feet, that's going to be the difference. That should bring us down. And then I should probably keep this open. I think we're going to start adding some ceiling details. Oops. Just hold this tight, and this just, again, gives me the option to enclose this either with traditional framing, or if somebody's getting a custom hood enclosure made, or just a cabinet box and throwing it in there. But right now, let's keep it like that. Refrigerators, when they are up against the wall, you are going to want to pull them at least 3 inches off to accommodate for the handle depth, but maybe more. So we'll do that. Let me just see. This is our countertop depth refrigerator. So I've got it 3 inches off from the wall. And I should be able to use some of these filler pieces to duplicate that. This is the 9-foot tall filler piece. We'll do the base design scheme in oak. That's how I'll show it. So I've got 9 foot, I've got the shallow wood trim, 24. Just copy this one, wood trim, edit type, duplicate. 9 foot. Okay. And that's going to be our natural oak color that we're using throughout the house. So that's just my typical trim color. Millwork, wood trim, okay. And the depth, we're at 30 inches. Height, we want to go 9 feet. And then, so actually, if we're doing this right, it's actually 8 foot, 11.25 inches. Because the 3/4 inch wood flooring is sitting on top of the slab on grade, we're not going to recess or depress that to compensate that depth. That all looks good. So I'll move this off to corner here. And again, we're holding that off the corner. Just make sure as we're doing this, everything is looking right. It's not. We have to flip it like that. Move it back 30 inches. Those toggles go at the face or at the front. Okay, and then we'll just march along here. So on this side of the refrigerator, you have a panel. So I've got a filler piece, adjustable, single. Let's see what color I have this as. Dark trim color. We'll make it the regular trim color. Okay, and then these should be adjustable. Panel depth, 30 inches. Panel height, yeah, 8 foot, 11.25 inches. Rotate this. And I don't remember if my refrigerator component is that's 3 inches. This is it's a 1/4 inch shy. So we gotta move this out just a 1/4 inch. Space this 1/8 of an inch. Very, very, very detailed here. We've got a refrigerator upper cabinet. And these we're just going to keep flat door fronts. 36 inch wide. Put it there, and then I'll just snap it in place. Keep checking my 3D just to make sure everything's drawn correctly. This refrigerator, what's the height of this? We are going to put elevations down, so now is as good of a time as any to take an elevation tag and just throw it over there. We will duplicate it for that side. We'll only show this on an enlarged plan, which we can also throw down right now. Looks like we can hug it like that. So I know we can hide it from here and then go to the enlarged plan, go to view. We'll do some break lines there, override this, halftone it. The way I have this component built, it's kind of silly, but it just centers the sink. I haven't been able to go in and adjust the parameters to make that adaptable, but it still works to sort of just break this up into 2 pieces. So my countertop on this side is not going to have a kitchen sink, and so I just click that, and then wherever this ends up being, I just center it on the cabinet. If it's a 36 or whatever it is. This, it looks like, just pick this as a new host. Move it around. For that, you're going to want to space that away from the refrigerator, so you have prep space on both sides. At least, I mean, minimum 15, but 18 would be nice. We'll see how this is starting to lay out. So with these enlarged elevations, we'll put those on a sheet. We can go to the elevation views. Not sure why it always collapses it down like that. Not always, even. It's just sometimes. Snap it to the ceiling. And we can see how this is starting to lay out in terms of an elevation. Turn shaded mode on. Make sure that it is showing complete. It's all new construction, so we don't have to worry about that. Smooth lines, shadows, ambient, lighting. I usually do just 20, 20, 20, and that seems to give us a realistic look. This cabinet is not the right color. We'll change this to the natural oak trim. And this is where we have to make the decision about cabinets going full height up to 9 feet or building out a soffit. And for this scheme, I actually wanted to build a soffit out all the way across at that 30-inch depth. So the only cabinet that would be 30 inches or 24 inches that's set forward on the uppers would be this refrigerator cabinet. Everything else would be set back in terms of the uppers, either 12 or 15 inches deep, and then we'd have the soffit edge exposed where we can put a nice linear LED light coming in across there. It'll give it a real modern look. So considering that, I've got this as a custom panel refrigerator. I wanted to double check the height on this. Yeah, it's at our 6 foot. That's okay. Should have our 12 inches there, which we do, so that's fine. So this, I'm going to pull down to that 8-foot datum. And we'll change the finish on this. We'll keep everything as stainless steel, so I don't have to adjust that yet. The refrigerator material has the trim. I mean, I think even for the rendering, it's probably going to turn off all the handles. I don't want to be too suggestive. So again, I think we've got plenty of space to fit everything here with an under counter oven, cooktop with the hood, and our sink, our dishwasher, and a couple extra storage units. And then across the way we have 8 feet of storage for our utensils, dishes, anything like that. So I'm going to put in the drop ceiling soffit here. Reflected ceiling plan. Just take this for now, bring it out, change it to typical 3.5 inch stud, one side faced with 5/8 inch dip, and run this all the way across. That's going to be up at the 8-foot datum, so I can also take this piece and duplicate that as a typical 8-foot tall. Then we'll drop in the ceiling plane there. Architecture, ceiling. This was running a little longer than I expected it to, which is usually the case. And so I'll try and wrap this kitchen area up. And we'll see either tomorrow or probably the next day, Thursday. We'll get into exporting some of this content and like putting the presentation material actually together. We'll try and get this out by Friday. So let's just put some finishing touches on this kitchen here. Ceiling level 1 minus 1 foot should give us our okay, and then right on this line here, either just behind or we'll pick a good area, is where I want that LED to just run across there. Let's see if how this is looking in our 3D view. Yeah, I'm liking it. The top of that soffit lines up with those like full height windows, not full height, 8 foot tall. Our LED will run across there. None of that's situated right now, but I think having the sink have the sink. Let's see what happens if we align. The sink inside there. It's not much prep space on either side of the hood, and I don't want the hood. Well, I don't know. Maybe let's see. Something felt nice in a strange way about the sink being like off to one side. It's like if I got everything out of the kitchen and I brought it, or sorry, out of the refrigerator and I brought it to the sink, it is a far distance, but you rinse things off and then you kind of have an assembly line of rinsing, cutting, prepping, and then getting to your range and oven to cook. and I'm just wondering if it's going to be possible to like center this. I was aligning this edge here, and let's see if what happens if I align the hood that in terms of cabinet spacing. Copy that to the reflected ceiling plan, line to current view. I will also do that for the island. It should be 3 by 8. It is. Copy, paste, align to current view. And while we're here, let's just throw in a couple of lights. Pendants. Simple bell. Let's see. It's the bottom of fixture. 5 feet. 4 feet. 3 feet. 3'6". I know we're not gonna have enough space to get a money shot like across. Well, maybe. No. I don't want to fake that too much. Well, maybe. Let's see. If I orient this 90 degrees, perpendicular, it's over a 90-degree. Field of view. Let's see. Probably just end up using this camera for this view here. I actually don't know any better way to get a perfectly orthogonal camera view. If you know, I would be very happy to find out. We'll do this at 4'6" height, and then I'll bring that over to our center line there. It looks like we'll capture just like either side of the island there without having to hide walls and get a fake perspective view or something. And we could also force it a little bit, the camera, but I don't know, maybe this is enough to get kind of a, no, definitely not. We would want to lower it, but I'm just trying to imagine if it's that important to get like a centered view through there. I'll probably make this one of my views like passing through this space, but it's not going to be like the show-stopping rendering. But because it will probably be a keyframe in the animation, we're just going to duplicate and save it, rename it. Save orientation, lock view. Just move on with our life. Okay. So carrying on, I mean, I like how that's starting to feel. That is a little curious with that corner there. I don't like that, but it's not the end of the world. I think with the LED light there, kind of wall washing, we'll get some cabinets there, moving across and through the space. That would probably feel a lot better if it were lower, but let's deal with that later. Let's finish this up. So what did I do? I put that on center, so I need to align all this, the hood and everything on center. Got this line here, tab and grab everything there. This is dropping below where it should be, but that's okay. Here's my center line. It should be. Why does it look like it's not? It's not because the walls are kicking it off center. Okay. This keeps happening because we have that goofy offset with a 3/4 inch difference. So I have to raise it up. Quarter of an inch to tuck it in there. And then the reason why I wasn't sure if I wanted to center all this is because it could leave you with some really odd like cabinet widths and wasted space, and we don't want to get into custom stuff. We are right at that 3'9", so what is that? It's 36 plus 9. Let's do the math. 42. Yes? No. What am I? 36 and 9 or 6 is 46. Why is sometimes they're so difficult? So the 46 can break up into, let's just see, with our cabinets, we'll start plopping them on the wall there. Uppers. Type it in. Let's get some flat double door uppers here. Do I want doubles or do I want a series of 3 singles? Let's do singles. 18s. Since these are probably the only time I'm going to use these on the project, I can just increase the height to 3 feet. And set it level with the bottom there. And then if I have to put some fillers in, I know I have some space around the hood that we were playing with, so that works. What was this, an 18, 15s, 15, 15, 45. Let's see if I can squeeze a little bit out of that hood dimension. Or actually, I know we have to work. Well, we'll leave that for now. Edit 3 feet height. The depth, I'll make them, because we have the deeper countertop depths. Something to remember is if you have 30-inch countertop depths, you are going to want to opt for the deeper uppers. Sometimes they come in 12 inches, sometimes they come in 15. People don't like the 15 on the 12-inch countertop depths because they kind of protrude a little bit. Could be kind of head knockers. But for this application, it certainly works. And I'm going to flip this side to open up that way. And we'll see how much room we have to play with. On the other side there, I'm going to take all the handles off, like I mentioned. I just want to deal with those later. I do want to copy these this time, and it would be nice to just carry this same dimension all the way across. We'll save and take a sip. And we'll just see where we end up here. And I got to wrap this up, so I'm not sure we'll even complete the kitchen, but we should at least get something that looks nice. So, yeah. I mean, we can keep the 3 and the 3 and then just change these to fill it out. Looks like I've got at least 6 inches, so I can allocate another 3 to each to make them 18 each. Well, I should measure before I look, yeah. 6 3/4. It's cutting it close, but you can do this last set as like a double door or even an over-under, like garage style unit. And I mean, that might help us shrink or grow this window in any way that we want to there. But usually, I would want to imitate the upper cabinets with something similar down below. But so if these were 15 and 15, you can do like a 15 in the corner and then do a 30-inch wide like drawer. And then, you know, the oven, under counter oven is also going to be a 30-inch. So I know I can throw that in with that component that we used before. Let's hide these in this view, hide elements. And you're starting to see all this kind of populate here, which is good. I think I can just grab it from here, copy it over. This is going to be 30. Wide, depth is going to be 30. And the countertop height is good. All the platform and everything should match up. I'm going to change the type, duplicate. To wood trim so it matches our cabinetry. We're going to do the lowers in the wood and the uppers in the white. And now we'll get the oven. Where are we here? This is my typical oven piece. Can uncheck the shelf because that's not being used as just shelf. I'll center this way, and then also take it back. So that should align with the front edge. Yeah, this is only 2'6", but we'll want that to come out another 1/2 inch. to extend over as like a drip edge. So let's get this all situated here. I don't know. I guess let's see what happens if we just put the dishwasher all the way off to the side, and then we pull this off that amount and make this a 3-foot piece so that I can do a 36-inch cabinet under there. I know it's not going to align with some of my uppers, but that way we've got at least a drawer, a cabinet drawer between the sink and there. There's some prep area here. There's more prep area over on that side. And the door can come down and it's not coming into the space. We've already got this oven door that's going to drop down into that space. So this is what I meant by sitting up on the platform. This guy is going to be posted on our finished floor, and then elevated up. And when it is elevated up, I forgot I have to pull it forward. And we'll make it a stainless steel, all the appliances except for the built-in ones. Go in and change these materials on this. The glass is fine, the handle pole, we'll just make it all stainless. Steel. Semi-polished. It's going to change everything in the model. So that might take a second. Okay. Sometimes I lose connection on my camera there, so sorry about that. Oven material, also stainless steel. Jump back into our elevation. I think we had this more or less where we want it. Gap that across, take off the sink, decrease the width to 2 feet. And in order to like join these, you just have to take use this tool here. There's a join tool, and most geometries, if they're generic models, you can click both of them and it'll join them together. So we can do the same thing with this slab of stone here, join. Maybe we can't join more than two together, I don't know. Maybe not. Or are they different types? No, I don't think so. Oh, they're different depths. Maybe that matters. It does. Okay, so we've got that. Then we'll just infill this lower portion here. I know I'm going to want a large sink, so let's get a 36-inch sink unit. Shaker. I don't want it to be a shaker. Flat 36. Those are in front, so I'll rotate it 90. Make sure the color is right. Nope. Duplicate. Wood trim, handle, painted. So I probably should have these all as their wood counterparts by now. It's just one of those things that takes time to go back into the base model, your template file. Center this, push it back. Make sure it's hosted on the finished floor. And I know I'm gonna have to pull that off the wall. You're seeing the jamb or the trim of this extend out in front of that, but let's see what kind of space we have between here. If this is centered on that 1'9", so that is a 21-inch. So we'll put that there. Then we can decide if we want to flip that, and we'll obviously have to just scooch this down just a hair, which it looks like we have some room anyway, because I want to make sure if we do end up putting this in the corner here that we're not running into this situation where you're pulling any door or drawer out and it's hitting trim on the adjacent wall. That is a huge designer no-no. But rewind. That's getting there. Let's just put in those last couple cabinets. I think we might even probably going to save it for next session, but to do some renderings. But that feels thought through, because it is. But you know, coming from the stair here down in the morning, you're coming down into this walking aisle, which is nice. You're engaged with the sink first, which I think is appropriate. The window, low, long, cutting across there. We'll see what we can get away with in terms of length on that. But I do think it's a nice feature to have. It technically could run full width. Something that we're starting to do in a lot of homes is just run the window across there. There's no backsplash in a lot of applications anymore. Do you have to clean the window? Yes, sometimes no more than you would clean your backsplash. When was the last time you cleaned your backsplash? Great question. And if you wipe it down, you know, after every use, which sometimes I find myself doing, if it's something splattering, it's no different to keep clean. So anyway, sort of running up against my clock here, but just to kind of wrap it up, we'll leave off here. I think this is going to be the money shot for this view. We'll make that window wall back there like a series of doors, sliding doors, or something like that. But to recap, the kitchen especially, it's looking so nice like this because we pulled out the countertop to the 30-inch depth to match it with that refrigerator. You don't have to. This scheme is just an option where I wanted to see that it works in its maximum configuration, and it does. So you're only going to save space by putting in a traditional 24-inch depth countertop. It makes it feel so much more spacious, actually, with a larger countertop depth. It makes it feel like a professional chef kitchen, if you've ever experienced it. But anyway, it helps everything feel built in and thought through. I like the soffit edge at the top that's going to capture an LED light just coming across. We can do under cabinet lighting also to illuminate the surface of the cabinetry down below. We've got the pantry across the way. We've got the mudroom access off on this side. So the sequence coming in from the mudroom, dropping off your stuff. If groceries, if it's a grocery visit, that works too. We've got all the utilities lined on one wall. We've got an island that should not need electrical, but you can put it in. It's not required by code anymore, which is great. If you're curious about that, they eliminated it in the most recent IRC and electrical codes because people were plugging in crock pots and slow cookers, and kids were yanking on the cord and pulling it down, and that is not a good situation for anybody. So they ended up being more dangerous to have electrical outlets than not. You can still do recessed outlets in the top of these surfaces, but that's optional now, which is great. So we had a 3'6" walk aisle here, which is great. You're going to be able to pull down your door and have a few extra inches to navigate around. You really shouldn't be doing that all too often, so I think it's appropriate for the oven to be located behind this area. We have the dishwasher outside of that area, so you're not having too many doors located within this aisle width. So I'm happy with that. I think that works. And then this, we increased a few extra inches on this side just because if people are sitting here or pulled out, you want a little extra walking space behind these. But so that's why in our floor plan, it's actually not exactly symmetrical on the room. We had a few extra inches on this side than this side. And then again, if you don't need these deeper countertops, you can nudge everything over and then have more than enough space, but wanted to make sure that it works in this maximum configuration here, which it does. So this session, it looks like we only got to putting in furniture and dressing up our kitchen, which is fine. Probably going to take a break from these live sessions tomorrow, and then we'll get back at it on Thursday to finish up our renderings and our presentation material. But here's where we left off. I'll do a final kind of twirl around. This is going to be our first primary presentation mode with the furniture layout, and so we're going to have work from home office set up here. You've got the dining room here adjacent to the kitchen. We've got the informal living space here, and then the kitchen will always remain in that kind of sector there. We've grouped the utilities and some of the storage area back there. Same thing with the storage and the stair here. So we tried to kind of group and compartmentalize these spaces and leave some flexibility for adaptability of the floor plan for different use cases. So in a different scheme, we're going to show built-ins with the TV here, so people that like the kitchen TV area adjacency have that option. an informal sitting area here feels like it can work. Also, the dining room there can work. So maximum flexibility in this, with a nice linear kitchen setup that works very efficiently. And then just to end it on the second floor, we still have to finish just dropping in some furniture here. There's not going to be too much variation up here. The only things I have thought about is like extending the primary bathroom either all the way across here or just part of the way to include like a standing tub or like a Japanese soaking tub, and or a separate walk-in closet off on this side for his and hers. So that's something, or just 2 walk-in closets, something we're considering. And then to raise the roof, or up to the roof, there's the full model, and I'll just hide this for now. So that's the model. Very simple, very efficient, very sculptural. The window placement, do not critique. We haven't gone through, at least on the second floor, and a lot of those we're going to try and get these to line up height-wise and just vertically above some of the other windows. I already know there's a lot of opportunities to do that, so at least the front is a little more situated. So with that said, just go back to our little hero view here where we finished up, and yeah, thanks for tuning in for this session. We ran just about 2 hours on this one. You can see how long a lot of this preparation takes for presentations and just design. A lot of times I'm working through this and I'm just thinking about how I want to set up the presentation content. Half of the battle is like populating your model with furniture and things of that nature. I have found from my process that getting all of that in the model helps with back-end post-production, just needing or not needing to fill it in with decor and things like that. It's in the rendering, and especially now, I'll show you probably on Thursday, using Google Nano Banana and some other AI programs. It's very easy to ask it to populate the renderings, but it's more helpful when you have furniture pieces already in place. So anyway, it's a long way of saying that at least for our purposes, we're going to be doing multiple configurations for the different room setups. So I wanted to have that one, we've got the furniture one, we'll do the 3 other schemes, and then there's some exterior schemes too that I know for certain we'll be able to run through AI to change the brick color. But when the architectural gesture is significant enough, like the roof pitch, I know we're going to want to show a single slope but also a gable style roof. That is something I will have to model in because I don't want AI taking too much guesses on that. So anyway, with that said, thanks for tuning in. We'll get to the window placement and exporting some design content in the next mentorship session here. I'm your host, Stephen Corliss. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.